Welcome to Two Blacks and a Mexican Halloween special. This is not your favorite movie is racist. That season's over. Now we're doing a Halloween special because we all like horror movies and we want to talk about them. So this is a little bit different, a lot of bit different from what we normally do, in that we're not actually gonna be kumbaya discussing and coming to our consensus as we normally do. We're going to be fighting it out over a topic that is near and dear to us: horror movies. So the Halloween special, what we're doing is we're deciding what is the best horror movie to watch on Halloween. We decided to do this a week ago, so we're still figuring it out. But basically, the idea is that we each have picked a movie that we think is the best to watch on Halloween. We shared these movies with each other so we could all get caught up on it. And now we're going to argue about which one is the best. At the end of the show, amongst us, we will vote on which one is actually the best based on the arguments. We are not allowed to vote on our own movies. So we really do have to listen to each other's arguments with a hint of fairness. So to start it off, we in order to figure out who's going to go first or what order we're in, we're going to do a little dice roll. So I will go around the triangle and ask Tawny, pick a number between 1 and 6, please.
Say it out loud?
Yeah.
Okay. 5.
All right, Miles.
6.
I got 2. Tawny, what's your other one?
1.
Miles.
3.
I guess 5. Is that what's left?
I did 5 for my first number.
Yeah, ours was 5.
Shoot, what did you say, Miles? What were your 2?
I think
6 and 3.
I got 5 and 1.
So I got 2 and 4. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm hitting it. Hey, I promise I didn't rig this.
You won?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I couldn't even see it. Okay.
Thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting app.
I went into the settings. No. Okay, so I would like to go in the middle. And I think because I heard a little bird told me that he took notes and stuff, I want Miles to go first and Tawny to go last because I'm scared of Tawny.
All right, that's how
we doing it, man. Okay. I mean, you shouldn't be worried, right?
Chris, what year is your movie?
2011.
Okay. If I had won this challenge, I would have just said let's do chronological. So that would have put Miles first, me in the middle, and you last. But I think this is good.
Okay.
I'm good. Let's go, man. I'm ready, man.
Let's go.
So, all right. So for me, I think it's 2 major aspects, I'll say 2 major aspects of Halloween. And one is the pageantry, it's that whimsical nature of dressing up in your favorite costume, getting candy, playing games, TPing people's houses. If you mischievous kid like I was, and then maybe attending some, costume parties and all that good stuff. And that's all in good fun. But then there's the second aspect of Halloween, which is the horror element that's baked into the holiday. Now, this is the part that just consists of just telling stories to scare the shit out of people. Mm-hmm. And we do that, and we use these movies to do that. And they're really cautionary tales about real life. It's don't go into that house. What happens when you say Bloody Mary in a mirror? Or, how your behavior determines whether or not this guy is coming for you. And I mean, by that guy, I'm talking about the boogeyman, which is Michael Myers. You know what I'm saying? It's what other movie would you want to watch on Halloween other than the one that bears the name of the holiday itself. Like, this is one of the first times like I can remember where the suburbs, like the white, like safe suburbs, is turned into a neighborhood that's an unsafe place. I mean, I mean, the score alone is creepier than anything you'll find in the two respective movies that you guys have chosen. and it's like the granddaddy of what those other films wish they could be anyway. So it's like, when choosing to watch a Halloween movie, you got to ask yourself, like, do you want parody or do you want actual peril? Because that's what's happening, like, in the film Halloween, is actual, like, real life scary ass shit happening versus, you know, some cute parody stuff. So that's all I'm gonna say for my opening spiel, and then I'm gonna go.
Oh yeah, okay, all right, cool. Yeah, I mean that's cool. Like Halloween. I mean that's a super creative answer for you to pick Halloween. Um, here's the thing. When I think of Halloween, I think of like a celebration of scary. I think of like darkness and trying to make your jack-o'-lantern look as creepy as possible, to like scaring your friends, going to haunted houses, all that kind of stuff. And all of the things, like the tropes of horror and all the things that we think of when we think of horror, kind of come out to play for Halloween. And so the reason I chose The Cabin in the Woods is because this movie to me captures not only kind of the celebration of all these different ghouls and monsters and everything that we enjoy about Halloween, but it doesn't just do it sort of like willy-nilly. It doesn't just throw all these things in and say, hey, look at all this. It weaves it into a really cleverly told story about the horror tropes and a meta commentary on what it's like to create a scary situation for people, and then allowing that fear to creep into reality. It's like Scream to the next level, which you think about what Wes Craven was doing with Scream. This takes it to another level in a really interesting way without seeming like it's borrowing from that. It pulls in like everything that we like enjoy about horror movies and adds in this kind of comedic undertone that works most of the time, but also doesn't stop having those little moments that actually scare you. The horror tropes kind of, to me, died with this movie. A lot of the things that they bring forward, they really like intentionally transform the characters into the tropes as part of the conceit of the movie. And to me, after you see that, anybody who enjoys horror, anybody who wants to like really say that they celebrate horror as a genre and being scared, you sit down and watch this on Halloween. It's almost like if you spent the rest of the month watching horror movies like I have with my family, this is like the coup de grace. Like, all right, here's everything. Now I feel satisfied. Now I feel full. Now I can go and enjoy my boring November. So that's my pitch for The Cabin in the Woods.
All right. So I picked Trick or Treat, which is, and I love an anthology. And maybe that's like a personal thing, but like I love the stitching together of stories that may seem disparate at the surface, and then sort of the clever. I'm like, in horror, I'm all about, like, I'm here for cleverness in horror. And I know that's not what everybody digs, but I'm into it. So this is 2007, written and directed by Michael Dougherty, produced by Bryan Singer. Some excellent actors in here. Dylan Baker, who, one of the most like underrated character actors. I don't know if you know who he is, but he's fantastic in every single thing I've ever seen him in. And I like just off the top of my head, I think the first time I ever noticed him was in this John Candy comedy, Delirious. But Anna Paquin's in there. And for me, Halloween is about spookiness and fun. And this movie is spookiness and fun. And I've heard some of the criticism that, oh, it's not actually scary. And at this point, I don't even know. Like, I don't want to watch something that's going to make me upset on Halloween. Like, I don't want to watch, like, and I loved, like, the Hereditary and, like, the Midsummer. Those are wonderful movies, beautiful, artistic. Don't want to watch those on Halloween. On Halloween, I want to laugh. I want to be grossed out. And I love a good gross out. I actually like splatter films. And it's slashery, and I'm not a huge slasher person. Like, I don't like Friday the 13th does almost nothing for me. So Trick or Treat it sort of hits all these spots. It's got comedy. I mean, really, it's funny. It's got that sort of whole opening title sequence of like comic book. It's got that comic book quality of like these sort of vignettes. It's got great acting. It's got the connective tissue. And it's about Halloween. So, and I want to say, like, okay, it could be Miles's movie's called Halloween. Mine's Trick or Treat. and it's like it's a little bit less on the nose.
Okay.
This is, and you can judge me and call Child Protective Services on me if you want, but I actually showed this movie to my children sort of in pieces, and like I was like, what do you guys think about this? And they hung, like, and they're not here for scary stuff, and I don't know how they're my children sometimes, but they're but with Trick or Treat, they were like, I was like, okay, close your eyes, like, for the boob parts. They were into it, and they were entertained, and they were a little bit creeped out, but we have also like the whole the range of Halloween experiences. We have like the elementary school child, we have like the kids who are like in middle school, we have like the 20-something girls, like, so it's this whole like life range of ways you can experience Halloween. So I guess that's my pitch.
Okay. So here's my thing about Trick or Treat. I'm gonna go after Trick or Treat first.
Okay.
I enjoy Trick or Treat. We watched it. We watched it the other night. It's actually my oldest son's favorite scary movie. You know why it's his favorite?
Boo.
Because it's not
It's
scary.
a kid movie. Because it's a kid movie. Exactly.
I mean, it's entertaining. And I do like the anthology aspect of it, but for me, it's like it toes that line between being kid movie but then being like adult, to where it almost feels like too many things, like it's being too many things. It's almost like if there were like 4 YouTube short films broken out from that movie and I could pick and choose which one I wanted to watch, I would be like, yeah, that'd be a nice little night, but there's parts of it I like more than others. To me, it suffers from the same thing anthologies always suffer from, which is that there's certain parts that are way stronger than others. Like I kind of check out with the whole like werewolf orgy stuff.
Oh my god, I love that stuff.
Oh my gosh, I love the Dylan Baker stuff with his kid. The daddy.
God, that's the dope scene.
I was rewatching it, and for the very first time ever, I noticed that fucking kid's dressed like Chucky, and he has red hair. It's the first time I ever noticed it. He's wearing
I didn't even notice that. Yeah,
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice it. I mean,
again, that's what I love. There's so many little notes, and maybe on Halloween, like, I'm looking for a good time. I don't want to have nightmares. Like, I don't want to not be able to get up and go to the bathroom at night because a fucking lady slicing your head off in Hereditary. Like, I don't want that.
Wait, why you keep bringing up Hereditary?
Yo, stop hating on Hereditary. Yeah,
I fucking love Hereditary. I think it's brilliant. But like, I can't watch it casually.
You clearly have some trauma
I don't
tied
think
to that movie.
And I mean, I don't think it's supposed. I don't even think that one is meant to be watched casually
No.
either. And I wrote some of the same things down about Trick or Treat. I don't think it's as clever as it thinks it's being, honestly. And ultimately, it's doing too much and not enough at the same time. Like it's trying to be cute with the Pulp Fiction non-chronological editing, but ultimately it ends up flat because not all of the tales are that strong. Like there's some that are stronger than others. I actually dig that werewolf scene. I think that's one of the stronger scenes in the movie. Like it works. Yeah, I feel like it works well. And I don't know if it's great that why that scene, why that storyline is not its own storyline, and why it starts off with these characters and you follow them and then we revisit them again. That story would have been stronger if it was just by itself and not split up and dragged out for whatever reason. I'm not sure. The problem that I got with Cabin in the Woods is that it's a parody movie like Zombieland or Shaun of the Dead. And for me, it ends up for me like Cabin in the Woods ends up feeling like less like a great movie to watch on Halloween and more of a great movie for horror fanatics that have seen every horror movie and can laugh at all the reoccurring
I will
themes.
say,
And if I'm not a horror fanatic, then all those tropes and repetitive character beats, they're not funny to me because I'm not in on the joke.
I agree.
And all you're left with is a comedy that's trying to mix genres and like trying to show horrific imagery.
So,
the film itself is not. I like I like both of these movies, but the problem is like neither one of those movies are actually scary to me. Like Cabin in the Woods is not scary at all. From the jump, it's telling you that this is a comedy. It's telling you it's a comedy for the whole movie. It starts off funny. It starts off lighthearted. And it continues with that, and it gets even more like that. That's the best part of the movie is the comedy. The scares, they think it's clever that we're pointing out all these tropes, but it's like, no, you're just actually making a B horror movie. And then we're cool because we're talking about how it's like an actual horror movie. And it's like, nah, that's not that different. It's the same as an
I gotta
actual
respond to this.
B horror movie.
movies, I watch Cabin in the Woods the most. It's probably like overall, like if we're not talking about specifically like stuff to watch on Halloween, I've watched Cabin in the Woods more than any of the other two. For sure.
It's entertaining as hell.
One of my
like
favorites. It's hilarious because I'm a horror fan. But yeah, like if you're not a horror fan, I don't know if you see the same things. Now, I want to say about Halloween, I'm not into the slut shaming elements. I just rewatched it and I was like, these bitches suck. They are one dimensional. All they want to do is fuck their boyfriend and do it in the neighbor's house. And
yeah, I mean, but it's the same. It's all those other movies are playing on the same trope though. Like all those the Trick or Treat and Cabin in the Woods are borrowing that exact trope and incorporating it in its stories from a movie that did it better. So it's like, okay,
to skewer it and to criticize it. And that's the whole like point of the horror in Cabin in the Woods is like, she's actually really bright and she just dyed her hair blonde. Like, and they turn her into the horror and they turn the girl who is banging her professor into the virgin because that fits the story. Like it, and Michael Myers, I will say this, like, is the fucking creepiest guy of all time.
He's creepy as hell.
Creepier than Michael Myers. Like I love Freddy Krueger. Nightmare on Elm Street whole series is like my favorite. I don't love Jason. He does nothing for me. Michael Myers is fucking scary. Like he's just this monolithic horror. But
because his motivations are completely cryptic. I don't know why he's doing what he's doing.
Absolutely.
He has this dissociative disorder where he's wearing a mask to, I don't know, separate himself from what he's doing. It literally feels like this thing could actually happen. Again, like I think both of these movies, I like all three of these movies, but I think the thing that when I think about Halloween, I'm like, if you ask me what's the best movie to watch on Christmas, I'm gonna give you a movie that has something to do with Christmas. Like Cabin in the Woods don't even have anything to do with Halloween. Like, and a
Here's
horror
the
movie
thing.
doesn't have to be about Halloween.
That's my
But
thing.
if I'm telling you
you-
the best movie to watch on Halloween, I'm gonna tell you a movie that embodies the spirit and the vibe of the holiday itself,
And
which
that
is a movie that has Halloween in
no,
it,
hold
or
on.
it's about
They have
Halloween.
friends. Her
To
friends
me,
suck. Her
to
friends
me,
suck.
the idea that the movie need be in some way
I didn't say it
directly
had to be.
associated with
I
the
didn't say it had to
holiday,
be.
that's
I didn't say it had to be.
false.
I'm just saying for the purpose of this conversation where we're saying we're let's take all aspects of who might be considering these movies. And we're saying, what's the greatest Halloween movie that I could pitch to you? I'm gonna take a bunch of different things into consideration. Like, okay, Trick or Treat is sort of I'm not defending it, but it's a good because it's a scary movie, I guess, or a horror movie that's about it's literally about Halloween, and it gives you this lore about the holiday itself. Like, I feel like Cabin in the Woods is a mixtape. It's like, yo, let's throw all the shit
That's why
ever
it's the
in
most
here.
fun. Look,
It
look,
is fun. It is
and
just
that's the thing.
extremely
It
fun.
hits both of y'all's marks because Tawny just said, I don't want to be disturbed and scared. To me, Halloween proper, like that John Carpenter movie, that is that next level that you can only watch with certain people. Like that's not the one that you sit down and be like, hey y'all, let's just chill out and watch Halloween. Like that's not you have to be in a certain crowd to be like, yeah, let's watch Halloween. To me, Cabin in the Woods has a few things going for it. One, it's fun, but it also has the horror theme like strong. And some of to me, the biggest parts that make you jump are not, you're right, they're not the monsters coming out. It's like Chris Hemsworth trying to jump that thing and exploding all of a sudden. That's what makes you jump. Like, oh dang. Like,
but that's more funny than it is startling. And they introduce and they show it to you earlier anyway.
Are like brother and sister. Like, it's all about tension and release. And Cabin in the Woods is great at both of those things. The other thing, Cabin in the Woods, I would argue, of these three movies, because it's the most recent, and because yes, it was somewhat of a hit, it wasn't as big of a hit and has gotten discovered over time. Cabin in the Woods is the movie that if you have people over, if you have something going on, you can throw it in and you'll probably have more people in the room who haven't seen it yet. And I would argue, like I said, I'm gonna use my son again. Like, he's not a huge horror fan, and he was able to enjoy Cabin in the Woods without being as ingrained in those tropes
because
as we
it's
are.
not a horror movie. It's just an entertaining movie. It's a funny, it's a comedy. It's a comedy with some horror aspects to it. That's why anybody can watch it, because it's not a horror movie.
Horror comedy.
We are talking. Listen. Wait a minute. We're talking right now. We're talking.
Does Evil Dead count as horror? That's fucking hilarious.
Yes.
Is Evil Dead horror?
Listen. I'm not saying that it's not horror. I'm just saying that it's lighthearted. So yeah, of course, anybody can watch something that's lighthearted. It's not scary. But what we're talking about right now is a holiday that's built around being scared. And neither one of those movies are scary. There's stuff in them that are trying to show you horrific imagery, but that doesn't mean that it's scary though. It's an entertain, like, it's a wild ride. Cabin in the Woods is it has a lot of watchability. You can throw it on and anybody can just watch it. And that's great. But we're talking about, we're just talking about what's an entertaining film to watch? Cabin in the Woods. We're talking about what's the greatest movie to watch on Halloween. We're talking about,
you go down on a costume party, half the people will just happen to be dressed as characters in Cabin in the Woods. Like,
oh man, get out of here. Michael Myers is one of the most iconic characters. Period, man. Get out of here, man.
Is the scariest motherfucker in movie. Like, there's no
sure. I agree with that.
And that's one of the most iconic characters.
But I'll tell you this: he's scary as fuck, and I was always afraid of him. But I prefer Freddy Krueger because he does fucking puns, and I don't know what sort of.
Again, y'all talking about comedy, which is cool.
I don't know what weakness.
Did you say he does puns?
don't know what weakness of character that evidence is for me.
You just said it like it was like.
I want because the reason I love horror is because it helps me deal with like fucking my anxiety, like and like again like tension and release, and that's like.
But tension and release doesn't mean tension in comedy necessarily. Release doesn't always refer to laughter. That's not the only way. That's not the only way to release tension. I just
want to say this also about, and God bless John Carpenter, because he's such a like in his own way an auteur, but like I'm screaming at Jamie Lee Curtis, fucking turn around, bitch. Like
yeah, that started that trope. Yeah.
Right. And then, so like there's all these scenes where I'm like, this is not, and I don't need horror to be believable, obviously.
Well, none of this stuff is believable 100%.
I need to feel like the director is dealing with peripheral vision, you know, when that needs to be in there.
I mean, look, I
and there's some suspension of disbelief that you have to go along with any of these stories in the first place. Like a lot of these all rely on TNA, like a lot, where it's like, why would you get undressed right there for no reason? You would.
My movie at least.
Or why would you do?
Why would you take off your
I will say in Halloween, the girl is like spills butter and like gets completely naked in the kitchen. I was like, okay, all right. What are you doing? What are you doing?
I never did that.
Where did he get that knife? That knife is so big.
It's huge. I was looking at my book today. I was like, okay, my chef's knife.
Bro,
what is this? It's like gigantic. It looks like a machete.
Like,
hey man,
he's pinning people with that knife. It's crazy. I mean, no, like that's the thing. Like nobody's arguing.
Man.
I'm not gonna argue that my movie is scarier than Halloween because it's not. But my thing is like, on the day of Halloween, like throughout the month of October, I watch all kinds of scary movies. But on the day of Halloween, you know, you're more likely to either, like, if you're a parent, you're with your kids, you're with your, you know, like you're in these environments. If you're not, you might be at a Halloween party with other people. In what environment do you sit and watch Halloween? Because at the end of it, on Halloween night, you're sitting there like. That's like everybody's just like quiet and slightly on edge.
That's why in my opening statement I said there's two aspects of Halloween. One of them is the pageantry, what you talking about, the party, the having fun, having a good time, and then there's the horror element of it. There's an aspect to Halloween that says we want to scare the shit out of each other for whatever reason. I don't know why. But that's a part of the aspect of Halloween. If you're going to spend Halloween doing all the pageantry, all the fun stuff, then the other side of that is the horror element. And if you want to watch something that's horrific, you watch a man that you have no clue what his motive or reasoning for doing what he is doing, stalk some random girl for an entire movie only to go attack her, and we still by the end of it don't know why he's even doing what he's doing. That is horrific. That especially during that period of time during like the 70s where like serial killers were rampant weirdly for
like,
whatever reason, like randomly. This is something that's frightening because this is something that could like it makes it even more terrifying because this is something that could actually happen. That's the whole point of these movies, is to scare the shit out of each other.
I started watching it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch like the beginning because the boys were still awake, and I'm watching it, and I hadn't watched it, and I knew that it was like one of the big like continuity errors that's always pointed out is that you can see the California license plates.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm like, those are fucking,
because it's in Pasadena, right?
So this is especially funny to me because I'm like, those are avocado trees. That entire
you sitting there doing cinema sins.
She's fucking, there's avocado trees in like half the frames in that movie. And it's just,
they didn't have a big budget, Tawny. Okay,
she's throwing those rib punches now.
Not a big budget. Can we get some better actors for her fucking friends? They're all, you're not a whore. We don't like, you're not fun. Like,
you know what?
I'm gonna chalk that up to 70s
Nah, but
acting.
listen,
Like,
given that we're just on the heels of our Star Wars sequels conversation, Miles very passionately talked about how the acting was the best in the sequels, and that made him connect with the characters more. I think there's a point to be made about the fact that I think the acting in Cabin in the Woods, and to some extent, I'll give Trick or Treat, but
Come
Cabin in the
on,
Woods,
Chris.
you got actors acting on multiple levels in that movie. You have actors playing multiple versions of themselves. It was dope. I mean, Chris Hemsworth,
Chris
he's
Hemsworth,
better in that movie than he was in Thor. I mean, I'm just saying, like,
okay. Right. All right. Yeah. Great point. Like, I mean, come on, man. These are a bunch of B-list, C-list actors like in this movie. Well, Helmsworth is a superstar. But I mean, come on, man, get out of here with the acting. There ain't no dynamic acting going on in this movie. Like it's decent acting for the film that it's in, man. Get out of here. They're playing the same teenagers that they would play in any horror movie, doing the same thing. Like they're just let's switch the roles around. Like okay,
but
like
hold
that,
up, then there's the layer of the Richard Jenkins character and the facility and their whole bets and all that, and that dynamic.
That's the best part of the movie. Is that the worst part is about the teen when they're them trying to make fun of horror movies.
But the idea that
that's
they're
the
in
worst
this
part of the
bubble
movie
and don't know it. There's a little bit of like, I mean, that's why, and that's what makes horror good, is that there's just this tiny hint of tragedy to it, right? Like they're just regular people to this thing, and then in the end they're almost pitted against each other. Like there's a darkness to it. Like yes, it's comedic, but like the tension there isn't just the comedy. It's the idea that like, dang, this sucks. Like I don't know whether as a viewer I'm to be entertained by this or to be like really thinking about like what would I do in this situation? And that's what horror is all about. And that movie puts you on both sides of the fence. The viewer, the guys in the lab, and the viewed, right? And so like to me, if we're talking about celebrating Halloween, the idea of being scared, like you said, like Cabin in the Woods to me is it hits all those marks and is I think less seen than the other two, and therefore
I don't think. How are you going to say Cabin in the Woods is less seen than Trick or Treat?
I think it is.
No way.
I heard about Trick or Treat for a long time.
Trick or Treat like didn't even get a theatrical release. Like it went straight to.
Did it really?
Straight to video.
Yeah. Real?
Here's a story. So I was in like, my marriage was not great, and I in the habit of ordering random movies. Like he would order like bundles of random movies to watch. So I watched a lot of shitty movies. And like Trick or Treat was in one of those bundles, and I was like, hallelujah. Like something I actually enjoyed, something that was a little bit smart, that was clever, that was and again, and I agree with you, Chris, on all the shit you're saying about Cabin in the Woods. I love it for all the same reasons. But if we're talking about Halloween, the movie's called Trick or Treat. The little like character that ties everything together is
he's cute. He's so cute. I want to pick him up.
That's it. Yeah.
He's actually hideous when you rip off the burlap bag, but I
still kind of cute.
Yeah, stop being so shallow, man.
I like the idea of somebody fucking cutting somebody's jugular with a candy. Like I love that shit.
I dug that. I thought
cool.
that was a cool conceit. But again, he's cute. He's got the little onesie on. Like I'm like, oh, look at him, man. He's like a little toddler, man. Get out of here.
Loved him.
Yeah, I like him too. Like they were creating him to be like and you know what I will say about Trick or Treat that I dig is that there's stuff about Halloween. I didn't know that how there were rules about Halloween and stuff like that. Like,
yeah,
and maybe they just made it up for the film. I don't know. I think that that's cool that they came up with this. Like, well, don't blow out the candle because XYZ happened. The problem with it is like the kills that are inside of that movie are not warranted. Like, there are kills that happen in Trick or Treat that I'm like, why is this person dying? Like, I don't even think like this is pointless. Like she got killed for blowing out a candle, and I get it, she wasn't in the Halloween spirit, but it's like, is that really worth it? So and even with the little kid, even with the little kids, like they were mean to the one girl, and the one guy, he's nice to her the whole time, and he dies still anyway. Like,
for you guys who are saying like, oh, Trick or Treat's so not hardcore. Name a lot of other horror movies where kids die.
That's rare.
There's not many. Like that's true.
Taboo. And I think it's a little bit groundbreaking that this movie does it, and it does it.
I mean, I will say this: like,
are wiped out.
I will say this: I think the strongest storyline in there maybe is the initial one where they're carving the fat kid, like, and they're carving him up into a jack-o'-lantern or whatever.
Yeah.
That's disturbing because, like, initially I'm like, is he about to kill his son? Like, damn, this is a dark ass movie.
Yeah.
And then obviously I was like, okay, he probably didn't kill his son. But then when it ultimately reveals what's going on, I'm like, this is pretty dark for sure. Like, it's not scary, but it's disturbing. Like, but the rest of it, again, the rest of the movie is, I feel like I don't know, it's just doing too much with certain things. Like, and it's not successful. All the stories are not as great. And that's one of the risks that you run in with an anthology, is that you're going to have some stories that are stronger than others. And then the weaker ones, hopefully the weaker stories don't kill the stronger stories. And then some,
I don't know. My
and I dig anthologies too. That's just one of the risks that you run into, is that every story is not going to be on an equal playing field. There's going to be ones that are stronger than others, where in a movie, I'm not necessarily judging this part of it's one cohesive, like, theme going throughout the entire movie. Maybe I like the beginning better than the end, but you're specifically telling me that these are three different stories that I'm judging differently. And if one is stronger than the other one, then, the other, and unfortunately in this one, the weaker one, that story is weak to me. Like, I mean, I'll have
to agree. I do have to agree on that. I wish that it hadn't closed on that. Like, to me, the werewolves were a lot more rewarding.
It's like they had Brian Cox and they were like, we got to give him
something. But they, like, it could have been worked in, and, like, I don't know, it could have just been, I don't know, it could have been done differently. But I will say that what I think is the common motif, or like the recurring motif here, is comeuppance. Like, in all these vignettes, like, people get punished, and
for nothing sometimes. Like,
for being an asshole. Like that girl making sure she blows the jack-o'-lantern out, she's also just like a bitch. And then, like,
whoa, yeah, that's a little bit, yeah,
a little much.
Like, she's supposed to be like, she's supposed to be a bitch. You're not supposed to be
let him watch
savage.
this little movie.
I thought she was pretty cool, right? Yeah, she let him get the movie off. Like, yo, she went trick-or-treating. She's a good sport.
Her husband's all like, yeah, Halloween, and she's like, oh, whatever, babe.
But she participated. Like, she was dressed up in the costume and everything. She went along with him and to indulge him and everything. She's pretty cool, and then she gets killed. Like, oh,
Tawny, you're being unfair.
She did everything.
Like, you cannot make fun of it like that. The little girl, the little, like, they call her an idiot savant, but she's like an Asperger's kid. She's like on the spectrum. Very clearly, that's sort of what is intended. Like, fuck those kids.
Yeah. Well,
and, like, like,
well, the one kid he was nice to her, though. Like, why did he deserve?
Well, to me, that's the thing. That's the thing, though. The larger conceit of that I've grown to sort of a little tired of with horror movies is that idea that you set up a bunch of characters who deserve to die so that you can watch them die. And I get it, like, that's a thing, but that's more like, to me, it's everything that the Halloween movies became, the Friday the 13th movies became, is like, you set up a bunch of jerks and then you watch them die. And so it's more of a thing. Like, to me, that is why I have a heart, because it's like, through that, I don't connect with very many of the characters. And therefore it's like you said, like, there's just levels of greatness, levels of, okay. For me, like, I if I'm looking at Halloween, the first one, that original one that you're talking about.
That's all we talking about.
That to me is like a mix too. Like, you got some unlikable characters, and then maybe part of it may have been the performance of some of them, but part of it was, like, also they were written to be like knife fodder, right? And to me, my movie's the only one that you understand why they become unlikable. Like, it's part of the story for them to become what they become.
Yeah,
and it's almost part of the tragedy. Like, dang, like, they got turned into this thing.
what I will say though is Lori is not someone who has done anything. She's innocent.
Yeah.
And she's being stalked for no apparent reason. We don't know.
Final
Stalked. She
though.
doesn't know why. She's being watched the entire time. And for her friends, yeah, they are unlikable. They're teenagers. I don't like teenagers. Like teenagers are annoying. They're a fucking annoying. They do all the shit that they're doing in that movie. They're being teenagers. So for that, yeah, okay, fine. Maybe they are unlikable, but yeah, I mean, to me as an adult, teenagers are aggressively annoying at times. So I feel like they're playing the role that they should be playing for the age that they're portraying. And she's completely innocent. So it's not like she deserved what happened to her. Whereas in Trick or Treat, this is all sort of people getting their comeuppance because, you know, they're assholes, so they deserve these things. This one is even more terrifying because you feel good. You feel good about people getting their comeuppance for the most part in Trick or Treat. Because like, well, yeah, they were kind of asshole ass kids. Whatever, they get killed. This guy drove a bus into a damn lake to kill. Okay, I guess he should die. This other guy is a serial killer in the neighborhood who is inconsistent. I thought he was a child predator. He switches up and then he all of a sudden becomes going after women, not even consistent. Okay. But yeah, he's should die because he's a terrible human being. But yeah, of course they should all get off. Lori has done nothing to anybody. She's playing it. She's the most square teenager in the entire movie.
But that's why
she's not doing anything.
Yeah.
That's why
she's not doing.
And that's the whole, like, you know, and I hate to use the word conceit again because I feel like it's coming up a lot, but like that's the whole conceit of, you know, the final girl. Like she's virginal, she's bookish, like, and they make fun of that in Cabin in the Woods for sure. But
yeah.
like,
well, they do a little bit in Trick or Treat as well with Anna Paquin and having that twist.
Yeah, with Anna Paquin,
that twist, you know.
So it's a little bit, it's meta, and I fucking respect Halloween for sure. Like, I'm not going to say that I don't respect that movie, but it's not one that I return to, like, when I want to, like, be hyped up for Halloween. It really isn't. Like, I'll watch it in the days maybe leading up to Halloween. But, like, I just want to laugh and, like, have fun. And, like, maybe it's a thing of, like, what, like, the way we do Halloween in my family or whatever. But, like, we watch, like, splatter horror films on holidays because we want to laugh. You know, and that's where I am on Trick or Treat. It's like Trick or Treat makes me laugh. It's Halloween specific. I don't really watch it other times of the year. I don't, like, not the way that I watch Cabin in the Woods, for example. But like that's what I'm looking for on Halloween night is like this, like, fun. It's like we're talking about it's topical. Which is like a stupid thing to say.
Topical. I mean, what you're saying right now is not to cut you off, but it's a great reason for me why Cabin in the Woods absolutely loses this entirely, because I can watch it anytime.
Listen,
is it like there's certain movies, what you just said, I only watch Halloween around Halloween or on Halloween. Trick or Treat, this is a new movie for me, but I would only watch this around Halloween. I wouldn't watch this any other time during the year because it's just not that vibe. I will throw on Cabin in the Woods in July and watch it because it's not a horror movie, really. It's an action comedy type of movie.
No. You see that you just listen. I will not
watch this at any time. I can watch this in. It's a good movie because it's a good movie because it works anytime. And what we're talking about is what movie should we watch on Halloween? Not a movie we can watch anytime because it works anytime. What movie works best? What movie pairs best with this holiday? And that movie is Halloween.
You compare it with, like, listen, I can eat ham any day of the year. I can also eat it on Christmas because it pairs well with
but who makes a turkey in July?
But look,
nobody. You make turkey on Thanksgiving because it's the best food that you eat in Thanksgiving. Is turkey still good in July? Of course. But when do you want to have turkey? On Thanksgiving. You don't want to have turkey in August. That's what Cabin in the Woods is. It's not, it doesn't belong on, it's not the best movie to watch on Halloween. Like, you need the best movie to watch on Halloween, not a movie for all purposes. You can watch that movie at any time. It's an all-purpose film that you can watch anytime. And that's what makes it entertaining, but it doesn't make it the best movie to watch on Halloween. That's why it fails at that, at least. Like, it fails at being the best movie to watch on Halloween because it's not a Halloween movie.
I have to wonder, and this would be interesting for maybe we want to like cut this part out, but like would be fascinated to hear somebody who's not like a huge horror person like weigh in
on Cabin in the Woods or just in general.
So just on like and any like discussion we have going forward about like which of these horror movies is the one that like works the best for this theme or whatever. Like it would be just really interesting to hear like somebody who's maybe not somebody who's like averse to horror and hates it, because there's those people who are just like sort of casually like, oh, I'll go see that, sort of just say what they think. I would be really interested just to
see. That's how my wife is though. Mm-hmm. And when we watched Cabin in the Woods the first time, mm-hmm. again, none of the stuff that we're talking about is necessarily connecting, because she's not a huge horror fanatic. It's an entertaining movie, but even at a certain point, like, she's like, okay, it's just a lot of shit going on in this right now, so okay, whatever. And this stuff doesn't this stuff doesn't connect
this discussion.
I mean, I'm just saying this stuff doesn't connect if you're not somebody who's into this already. Like, some of this stuff is just kind of like, what's happening right now?
You gotta have some kind of, like, you picked a movie that's full of dread, foreboding, and which is, yes, that's the deal. But if I'm in your shoes and I'm picking Halloween, I'm not picking the first one for that reason. I'm picking like Halloween 2 or something where like it's still got that tension, but it's got a little bit of something that you can watch and kind of, like the over the topness of some of the sequels. Like, I think is it the second one where the person gets like boiled or something weird like that? Like, stuff.
I think that is
stuff where they start getting a little over the top. Like, okay, I'm down with that. I just think that's why I picked Cabin in the Woods, because you got to have, to me, a layer to it that makes it an enjoyable watch. Like to me, Halloween is a great horror film, one of the best of all time, but it's not enjoyable to watch because that's the whole point. It's not supposed to be. And so
neither is Hereditary, but it's an incredible film. We're not talking about what's the most enjoyable film to watch on Halloween. We're talking about what's the best film to watch on Halloween. And enjoyable is not one of the traits that's a necessity or a prerequisite. It's about how scary it is. Like, that's my whole argument. That's my whole argument is that I feel like a lot of movies that people cap as fun, just a movie that has a ton of humor. And listen, I like to laugh too. I have a great sense of humor, but like, that's the only way that people have figured out how to have a movie that has less tension is to just tell jokes. Let's just make fun of the thing and tell jokes about it and look, that's fine. That's great. But if we're talking about this movie to watch on Halloween, a holiday that is completely based around scary, like that's the whole holiday is based around people being scared and also people doing the other stuff, having fun, going to parties and stuff. But if we're talking about the scary part, you do all that other stuff with people, right? You do all that. We go out and trick or treat and all that other stuff. Yeah. The scary part is left.
It's about warding off. It's like about warding off what the potential threats are. Like, so that's the basis for the traditions, like trick or treating and jack-o'-lanterns and all that. And that's what horror comedy does. It sort of wards off the danger with humor. All and right. That's my pitch for like trick or treat. It's funny. Like, it makes you feel, it's enjoyable. It's fun. Okay. Maybe all of the, like, there's some of the, the vignettes that I'm not super excited about, but like the fun of it is for me, like what makes it work for this holiday in particular.
Listen. I mean, it's the thing you said at the beginning where we were talking before the podcast. Life is not always happy. It is not always enjoyable. And
suck.
the prime example is Halloween. I don't, sometimes I watch movies with my wife and she'll walk away from the movie and she'll be like, I don't like that because it upset me. That's what the purpose of that film was to upset you. That movie was not supposed to make you feel good. That movie was supposed to make you upset, and it achieved what it was supposed to do. That is what Halloween is. I'm gonna go out walk, having a blast. That movie is. It's not supposed to do that. So it's successful. It's successful at what it's doing, which is to make you feel dread. That's a successful film. Like, not only is it executing it well, it's
the actual holiday of Halloween has both. It's horror and it's fun, and it's got like it's trick or treating. That's not scary. That's fun, but it's got a tinge of horror to it. Like, okay, I'm gonna.
Yeah, you getting into my points right now. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Cabin in the Woods is an astonishing meta feat, capable of being funny, strange, scary, frequently all at the same time. That is the Rotten Tomatoes consensus of the movie. Strange and scary all at the same time is Halloween. I don't care if you can watch it in July. That's great. You can watch it in July, but you can also watch it on Halloween and
but is it the best movie to watch on Halloween? Is the question that we are trying to figure out here today, sir. And it is not, because it's a comedy. It's a comedy. You know, I love Zombieland, but it's not a horror movie. It's like Zombieland to me, literally. It's literally like Zombieland. It's like a Zombieland or a Shaun of the Dead with a little bit more. Okay, so we may throw some darker scenes in here, but the same level of comedy. I laugh as much in Zombieland as I did in Cabin in the Woods. Like, I didn't get scared at all in Cabin in the Woods. What parts is scary in Cabin in the Woods, man? Come on, man. What part is scary in that movie?
Progression of the events in that movie built tension way more than Zombieland or Shaun of the Dead do. Those are both overtly comedies. This has got way more tension and stakes and like challenging things happening in it than those movies do. You don't stop comparing my movie.
I will give you this. There's more tension. There's more tension in Cabin in the Woods than Zombieland. But I think the movie is a comedy that has horror elements in it. It's a comedy. It's it starts off as a comedy and then it kind of ends on a darker note, like but the whole thing is it's still a comedy to me, like for the most part, or parody if that makes you feel better, but it's still which it is a parody. I mean, that's literally the definition of parody, is to humorously exaggerate something. Like, that's what that movie is. It's a comedy.
No, satire isn't necessarily satire is exaggeration, but it's not necessarily. No. I would say it's hard. It's satire. It's satirical. It's meta. You know, it's pointing at itself. But that doesn't mean that the characters know that. So like the characters are going through all of the, and we don't really know what's going on for a while. Like, the first time I watched it, I was like, what the fuck's going on? Like, what is this opening scene? Like, what's happening? Like, I rewound it and watched it. I was like, did I miss something? And then like that scene where the bird smashes into the grid thingy, like I was like, what the fuck was that? And it took a second, you know, and so you're really on that journey. And like, and having seen it now like a gazillion times, like, sure, like it's funny and I can appreciate a lot of the like humorous notes, but like the first time I watched it, I didn't know what the fuck was going on until the characters did. You know, and it was like terrifying and exciting because I'm a horror fan, and all those creatures, you know, it was like, oh my God, it's that one from
That's the added bonus for horror fans.
Yeah. Why they had that unicorn in there though? That ain't no scary. That shit's what is the unicorn, man? Come on, man. They just started throwing shit. It's like, we got money for this. Like, let's just throw this in there. Like, get out of here, man. Now I will say, it does have good tension. There is a great element of mystery because the first time I watched that, I did not know what was going on. I hadn't seen any trailers for that because I remember that movie, but I never really saw a trailer for it. So I went in clean watching it, and I was like, I don't know what's happening here. Like, you see the guy on the roof, it's like they're on their way. So you know something is going on, that there's somebody is setting them up for something. That's all great stuff. Like, all of that stuff I think works well. But it doesn't mean that this is the movie you should watch on Halloween, though. Like, you can watch it anytime.
Okay. So let's each take a minute and give our like final kind of wrap up points, and then we'll go ahead and vote.
I don't know if I've said anything. I mean, I can't even think of anything more to say about about my movie, other than just like, I guess what I look for in a Halloween movie is elements of horror that are ultimately fun to watch, that are delivered cleverly, that I can watch with my family, and we can all sort of, because I do, like, we do holidays together. Like, every single holiday I'm with my family and we're like laughing at something. Like, I remember when I was married, my like ex was like, I can't believe you guys watched that on Christmas Day. We watched Drag Me to Hell on Christmas. And family. We all like we're, except for my dad, actually. He's not a huge horror person, but like my sisters and my mom all are. And so like that shit, like we were cracking up. It's hilarious.
It's great.
But is that Sam Raimi? That's Sam Raimi, right? Of course.
Yeah, it is Sam Raimi.
Yep.
But
Sam Raimi.
like that's the sort of, and I think like, you know, like I showed it to my boys, and I made them cover their eyes at certain parts, but like that's what I'm looking for in a Halloween movie, like fun, like Halloween, related to Halloween. It's thematic, it's topical, and and it hits some of those like classic horror notes, right? Like the werewolves are in there. We have like the children returning, like the vengeful like spirits of the children returning. So it hits some classic notes, and it's just good fun. And so that's why it would be like my go-to for Halloween.
Fair enough. All right, I'll go ahead and go since Miles went first in the beginning. Look, Cabin in the Woods. I'll dovetail off of your point about Drag Me to Hell. Like that is exactly to me the same type of beats that Cabin in the Woods hits, while acknowledging those beats within the story of the movie, because there's a dark tragedy / comedy thing to Drag Me to Hell as well, where you're like, did she deserve that? I think Cabin in the Woods has the same kind of situation where it's just the characters are interesting because of what's happening to them. The conceit of the movie is unique, and it's something completely outside of what you've probably watched throughout the rest of October. It's got some horror, it's got some comedy, it's got a good mix. You could watch it with friends, you could watch it with family, you could watch it with your teenagers, and there's something to get out of it, whether you've seen a million horror movies or not. There's something to get out of it. And so I'd say it's a perfect Halloween movie because it's got that perfect little stew of things that you enjoy. And you don't need to be reminded that it's Halloween through the movie. It's already Halloween. So yeah.
False. No. Listen, for me, it's like this. If I got a taste for spicy food, I want spicy food. I don't give a damn if you can blend it with other shit that make it spicy and tangy, or spicy and this or whatever else. I want spicy food. And it's on Halloween. I want some shit that's scary, man. We're talking about stuff that pairs well with Halloween. If I tell you what's the best movie to watch on Christmas, I'm going to give you a movie that pairs well with Christmas, a Christmas story, something revolving around the Christmas spirit and what the ideologies of that holiday is. If you're talking about Halloween, we're talking about watching a movie called Halloween. That's literally terrifying as shit. It's scary as hell. That's the whole point of this. Scare me. If I'm going to a holiday that's based around being scared, scare me then. If I'm going to a restaurant for spicy food, give me spicy food. Don't give me other shit just because you could mix all this other stuff in there and make a sweet gumbo. That's great, but I came here for the spice, brother. Like, give me the spice. I don't want all this other stuff. Like, And that's why Halloween is the best movie. Yeah, all of those the films you guys chose are cool mashups, and they pull a lot of interesting things from iconic films, particularly this one, like to tell its story. That's great. You're taking from a great film already. Why go watch our version of a horror film when you could watch the Grand Mac Daddy of horror films and watch the original OG Halloween, which is one of the best horror films ever, and one of the creep. You could just hear the and I'm creeped out. Literally, I've gone to people's houses trick or treating, and they have that music playing, and I'm creeped out. They don't have to have no decorations or none of that. This is Halloween. What are y'all talking about right now? We talking about being scared, man. That's it. I don't care about all these other combinations. We talking about being scared. And if we picking one of these movies to be scared of, it's only one that you could choose, and that's Halloween, man. Come on, let's be honest here, man, about what's going on.
Wow. All right. So there it is. So why don't we go ahead and decide?
I don't want to vote.
You don't want to vote? You got
I know.
vote,
I feel
Tawny.
bad because I didn't talk all this shit about the movie. I love Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah, now you got to pick one.
And I fuck with the. I like both. I enjoy both of these movies. So I was like, all right.
We're not influenced. Do y'all have like your phone or a piece of paper or something? Here's what I'm thinking we do. We each write down our vote and then we hold it up at the same time. That way we can't be swayed by each other's.
I want to be able to say why, like at some point.
Yeah, we can do that after. But I think we should reveal our choice.
Luckily, I got all the kid supplies here with the whiteboard and everything.
Oh wow! Okay, I need one of those.
I bought this because I right at the beginning of like distance learning, I was like, I might need this.
All right. So when y'all have written down your choice, then we'll count down and reveal it to the camera.
Okay, I think I'm ready.
I think I'm ready too.
All right. I'm gonna count down 3, 2, 1, and then we'll hold them up. All right. 3, 2, 1. Oh.
I can't see yours, Chris.
Yours.
Oh, it's Halloween.
I bet y'all didn't think I was gonna pick Trick or Treat.
Nah.
Purely, I will say this.
Although
of the 3 movies, Cabin in the Woods is my favorite of the 3.
Yeah,
it's my favorite of the 3, easily.
Same, easily, yeah.
That knocked me down on the whole.
In the pure spirit of the holiday
thing.
Halloween.
Yeah, that's why I picked Trick or Treat, because I feel like I don't think it's the best. I like Cabin in the Woods better. Honestly, I would watch either one of those two before I would watch Halloween. Like, just because, because those are more entertaining films. Like, Halloween is long. It's all these like drawn out shots that are very Hitchcockian, and like it's like, it's a great But Trick or Treat, I think it actually does a good job to embody Halloween. It's on Halloween. You feel the vibe of Halloween while you're in it. It has the lore of Halloween going on. It's got a little cute baby, pumpkin, toddler with the pamper on that you can, pick up, and like it feels the most Halloween-ish to me. So if that's the case, then sure, if you want to watch a movie that's the most Halloween-ish, watch that one. I could watch Cabin in the Woods again right now. Like it's just super.
I will.
Yeah, it's fun, man. That's a super fun ass movie. I really like that movie. That's why I was like
grading like Cabin in the Woods, just in the background.
So, for me, like Halloween is just, it's the movie. And like, uh, you know, a lot of my argument was me shooting down things that I actually love about the movie and like make it a movie that you know, but it's a film. It's like to me, it's the best movie of the three in terms of craft. But Cabin in the Woods is my favorite movie of the three, because it's so much fun. But honestly, like what made this hard going into it was that both of those movies were like those were my like I was like, okay, it's either Halloween or Trick or Treat. That was like what I was at, and then I was what what do I love that kind of does both of those things for me in a way, and that was how I came to Cabin in the Woods because it's more intense than Trick or Treat, but it's also still mad funny. But so Halloween takes it. Deservedly.
I was actually apprehensive about choosing that because it's such a slow like burn to me, like, and it's not like immediately.
That's the boogeyman, man. Like that.
Yeah.
Like I always used to say this, and I've loved horror my whole life, but I would be like, I'm not scared of Freddy. I'm not scared of Jason. I'm fucking scared of Michael Myers. Like that motherfucker's scary, and that.
His character design, costume, it's perfect for like it feels like a real life serial killer. That's what made it so.
He's huge.
Alarming.
He's big. Like he's brutal. Like he's any sense.
Bushes.
And that's why I hate that Rob Zombie shit, because they try to give him a backstory. I'm like, nobody wants that. I mean, I don't know. I guess there are people who love that stuff, and I hate it. I don't like any of that shit.
I don't hate that one. It was better than like a lot of the stupid ass like sequels that came out like preceding like the first and the second one. I didn't hate it as much as I hate like 5, like where it's like the druid cult like of the curse of Michael Myers, like. But yeah, like when you try to like explain a character like that and give him a backstory, it kind of ruins it, because the thing that's scary about him is that I don't know anything about this. I don't know why he's doing any of the things that he's doing. The more they start to add elements, and this is Laurie's brother and all this other stuff, and it just became more and more ridiculous and less scary. And they knew that, and they kind of had to go along with what every other franchise was doing. It was like, well, let's just lean into the absurdity of this instead of, like.
Yeah. I mean, it's what they did with a few, more recent wise was The Strangers, which was again random terror. The idea that so The Strangers has that great scene where she's like, "Why are you doing this to us?" And see, these people breaking in and trying to murder them, and the girl just says, "Because you were home." And it's just such a it's such a like, dang, okay, well that's it. There's no more to it, and it's scary because that could
that's hell. That feels like that's the definition of hell, like pandemonium. Like nothing makes any. There's no order. Like everything's just, and that's like right. Reminds me a little bit of, and I haven't seen the Purge movies, but I know that like that's part of the horror of those is just pandemonium.
Yeah.
That's the same thing. The first Purge is the only one I've seen. It's not great, but like that.
I've seen some of the other ones.
The idea that this guy and just starts messing. Like I just like they just felt like messing with him. So Halloween takes it. Congratulations, Miles. I mean, I don't like how you was directing my movie, but you deserve it. Halloween special. Halloween gets it. I guess that makes sense.
This was fun. I'm glad. It was fun.
Yeah, this was dope. Yeah, this was fun. This is hard though, because I feel more like I had to think. Like for the other ones, like I would watch it and then I would kind of think about some stuff. But for some of the episodes we did, like I didn't do a ton of like research or anything like that. I just had to think more about, okay, what are they gonna say? Like I was like, that's what I was trying to prepare for and be like, what is this dude about to say? Because like I don't know, like, and that's what I'm trying to think about is like where y'all are gonna say about this, because I know they're gonna say this, so I gotta almost try to pull a B rabbit and say it first, like.
No, that was good, and your opening argument was solid. I think for me, it was like I was thinking offensively. And I was like, okay, I was thinking more so, what can I knock? And so you were prepared because you were thinking about what can you defend against. And I was sitting there thinking, like, what can I knock about these two movies that I like?
I really,
I didn't think so much about defending mine as not even being technically a Halloween movie.
I was trying to not be. I was trying to be like completely uncynical. Like, I really was. And
But cool. Well, this wraps up our Halloween special, Two Blacks and a Mexican. We're gonna do more of this horror thing. We haven't decided what it's called or what it's gonna fully look like, but I think this was fun, so we'll do it again some more time soon. Thank you. Please comment, share, do all that stuff. This is on both YouTube, Spotify, everything, and we'll see you next time.